picked up that little chihuahua the other day. It's one of the Taco Bell chihuahuas. I have a whole bunch of them, and I hadn't seen them in a while. And I found this one, I don't know, at a garage sale or something. I can't remember. I love them. Well, good morning, everyone. This is Sara Sach of Posh Pooch Designs. And when you get here, go ahead and clink in. I've got my big cup of coffee today. It's a little bit chilly here in Colorado. Good morning, Ann. It's a little bit chilly here in Colorado, so I had on my heavy sweatshirt and my big coffee. Good morning, Michelle. Clink. And like I said, I got my big coffee today. I took the dogs out to go potty. I always try to right before I get ready for my video. Maximo decided to chase a bunny. So we're running all over the yard. And all of a sudden, the bunny turns around and looks at Maximo. And Maximo turns around and runs for the house. Oh, goodness. It's a lot of work to get ready in the morning for a video, but it's a lot of fun. It's timing. I've got to make sure the dogs have gone potty and all of that stuff. Good morning, Ann. Clink. Well, we have a lot of stuff to talk about today. You like my hat? This is my silly pumpkin hat. And I wore the other pumpkin hat in last week's video. And so I thought this week I would wear this one. He's silly. A lot of people think he looks like Elmo, but I don't care. I love him. All righty, let's go ahead and get started with what's new this week at Posh Pooch Designs. And one of the things that are new is this. My grandson, Aiden. Hi, Aiden. I love you bunches. Love you more than coffee. That's what we always say. He's learning to crochet. He's 9 years old. He's really smart. He's a master builder when it comes to Legos. You should see his room just loaded with Legos. Anyway, his mama, Elizabeth Spivey of Callie's Clips and Crochet Creations, which is my daughter, she was telling me that he's been learning to chain and he wants to learn to crochet. So I thought I would design this fun little pattern. It's just a slip knot, chains, and slip stitches. And then you add a loop and a button and you make a nice little bracelet. It's a perfect beginner project for anybody who wants to make one. And they're super fun to wear. You can make them out of worsted weight or cotton. So that's one thing that I finished this morning. I did the video yesterday. I got it edited this morning and on YouTube. My computer decided right in the middle of my photo or my editing program for videos to do an update. Why do they not tell us these things? It just clicked over and decided to do its own thing. Oh well, it got done. I am going to remove this hat, people. This is hot. There we go. Does my hair look all right? My earrings all cockeyed. Oh, well. The other thing we got done this week were the turkey coasters. These are super easy and super fun. And they're also really fun if you're going to have... Okay. It clicked off for a second. I hope I'm back. Can you guys see me? Am I back? Well, I'm just going to keep right on talking. Anyway, I did the turkeys this week, and I think these are really fun to use as place markers. You can see it has a little edge to hold your coffee cup. Okay. Glad I'm back. I don't know what's been going on lately with, it's when I use my iPad to do the live videos. If I use my phone, thank you, Anne, I'm glad you can see me. When I use my phone, this doesn't happen. It only happens when I use my iPad. Good morning, I'm glad you can see me. So anyway, I don't know if it's some weird funky doodle thing with my iPad or what. If you notice I've got a new little microphone. I had some complaints about my videos not being loud enough because I was just going off the speaker in my iPad or camera. And so my husband set me up with a wireless microphone set and has little speakers. And if I forget to push a button or turn an antenna or whatever, the sound doesn't come through. So I've been doing a lot of testing and having some fun with it. But anyway, we did the turkey coasters this week. They're lots of fun. The other thing we're going to do this week by someone that gave me a special request are these. And do you know what these are? Anybody? They are boot cuffs. And up here in Colorado, boot cuffs are important because if your boots don't go all the way up to your wahoo, snow gets in your boots. And nobody wants snow on their hoo-ha or their whatnot, right? So I love my boot cuffs. Plus, I like to wear the UGG style boots, and I have a couple fancy pairs of boots too. But I have like purple, brown, and black, and I think navy maybe of the UGG style boots. And I love these for those because they're perfect from the knee to the boot, and this stays in, and it keeps the cold and the snow out of your boot. And this was a special request that I'm going to be doing a video on this week, probably Friday. So that's what's happening this week. One more thing that's going to be in November, and I'm really excited about this little thing, is this pattern. Isn't this adorable? I've been working on this because I was wanting to make it not too complicated, because I'm trying to do some more simple things, because I've been getting a lot of requests for beginner type stuff, which is another reason why I went ahead and did the beginner bracelet. And so this is a really neat little gingerbread boy. And in the pattern, I'm going to give you options how to make it into a snowman also, and also just a regular doll. And so we're working on that. It has lots of little pieces, but it's really, really easy. And I just think he's adorable and so squishy and soft. So that's something that's coming in November. He'd make a great stocking stuffer. Or I do love gingerbread. You know, I did a whole series in July on gingerbread stuff. I love gingerbread. Unfortunately, I can't eat it, so I have to play with it. Alrighty, now let's get to our discussion. One of the questions that I got this a couple of weeks ago, actually, and I hadn't had a chance to address it yet, and that is when working with Ami dolls. I'm just going to call them Amis because I can't say the Amigurumi long word. And basically, an Ami doll is a stuffed doll, just like this gingerbread doll is a stuffed doll. And what it was, the question I got was, how do you hide your knots and weave in when you're working with stuffed animals? Because, good morning, Petra. Glad you're here. Clink. Everybody clink in? Clink. Like I said, I got my big coffee cup today. It is chilly here. Okay, so anyway, that's what the question was. She was making my rag doll, and she was having trouble knowing how to tie off and weave in when working with the stuffed part. So I'm going to show you just a couple of things that I learned along the way. The first thing I'm going to show you, I've got this little whoopee that I made a few years ago for my dogs. And one of the questions that she had is that when making the facial features, where do you hide your knots? And what I do is, like, I embroider the nose on, and then underneath here, I'll hide a knot. And I know that they say in crochet you should never tie a knot. And that is true. You really shouldn't, but sometimes I do. And what I do is, for instance, if I'm embroidering up here, I will take, if I'm embroidering the nose or the eyes, I'll take and make a knot down here. Now, I have done that. This right here is the knot that you can see with the red yarn that I did when I added this little muzzle of the dog on. And it's okay. And if you have pieces like this, just go, and when you're done stitching, for instance, say I stitched on this tail here, okay? So what you can do is just go over to a place like this. Let me pull that needle out. Okay, so let's pretend I just sewed this tail on, and I want to hide that knot. And so what I'll do is I'll go over to a place like this where I've sewed something on, and I'll hide it up underneath there like that, and then I'll just take a couple of stitches and hide that knot. That's the best way to do that. Now, I don't actually like tie a knot. Usually what I do is I'll make 2 or 3 loop stitches, and it's real important when you do that that you go through a stitch, not the holes between the stitches, because these little babies, whether they're loveys, stuffies, or whatever, they're to be loved on and played with. And my dogs play with these. They're not, my dogs aren't biters, so they just kind of throw them around. Rosie likes to flip them in the air. It's really quite cute. But anyway, you want them to be played with, and you want those pieces to stay on. And so I go ahead and I just do a couple of loops. For instance, I'll show you what I do, just so you can see what I do. Okay, so let's say I'm I sewed this on and I want to hide my knot under there. So I'll pull it over and I'll just go like this and go around a couple like this, and I'll do that a couple of times, and then I'll clip it off, and that will hide that underneath there because you won't be able to see it, and then also it'll be nice and secure so my toy can be played with. That was one of the questions. How do you hide the knots? The other question was when you're working with, this is a little bunny I made a few years ago. Isn't it cute? It's not my pattern. It's somebody else's. I was just having fun. But one of the questions I got was when you're done, a lot of times there's a hole and you're stuffing your leg or whatever, and you want to close up that hole. I opened this one up so I could show you. So let me go ahead and thread that needle with that piece of string. I always recommend, no matter what you're doing, leave yourself. Good morning, Christine. I'm glad you're here. Clink. Okie dokie. Anyway, a lot of times there's a hole because what it is you, instead of starting with a circle or a magic circle, a lot of times you'll put, say, 6 single crochets in the second chain from the hook. And then as you work that, a hole forms. And then you go to stuff your little leg and there's a hole. What do we do? So I always say leave yourself about 4 or 5 inches of thread when you're starting. So you can go back in. Let me hold this up here so you can see it. And all you do is you just go around these stitches that you made. There we go. I had to see what I was doing there. On the first round. And you just go around those stitches. And then you'll just gently pull it. My needle came unthreaded. There we go. Get back around there. All right. Just go through the stitches. It's all of like on your, say your round 1, when you're first beginning, those initial 6 or 8 or however. And then as you go, you just gently pull it and eventually that hole will close. I need to do a few more. There we go. The hole will eventually close. And then once the hole closes, I'll go forward on that stitch and then I'll just go back the other way. And I'll do that until I run out of yarn. And then I just sort of poke it through the stuffing and everything. Like that. The hole's closed. I've gone down here, gone through the stuffing and everything. I'll give it a little bit of a snug pull and clip it off. And that will close that hole on that foot. Make sure when you're weaving in like that, that you, again, go through the stitches, not the holes in between, because you want those stitches to hold. If you go in the holes, you end up just kind of pulling bigger holes. And it may stay put for a while, but like I said, these are babies and animals, fuzzball, that we want people to be able to love on, right? Isn't this cute? I cannot remember where I got this pattern, but it's not mine. And I did it a few years ago for an Easter basket for decoration. And I love him. He's cute. The other thing that I just really wanted to impress, I can't remember the right word I was going to use. Iterate, is that the right word? I wanted to talk to you about that's extremely important. And like this is my rag doll. And you sew the head right onto the top of the rag doll. Well, one of the complaints or the questions or whatever was she felt like her stitches were too big across here. And when I'm stitching a head on or an arm or whatever, I try to stitch my stitches really close together. And, but you can see they're not going to be perfect. And so the main key, and I'm going to say this probably 10 times, is going through the stitches, not the holes. And the reason that it pulls is because she was going through a hole in like between the double crochet here, and then she was going between the single crochets on the head. And when she stitched her head on, you know, because you just whip stitch the head onto the body, it left these big gaping holes and it didn't look pretty. So I'm going to say this again, go through the stitches, not the holes. And you think, oh, it doesn't make a difference, but it really does. And especially if you're going to give that as a gift to maybe a child that's going to play with it a bunch, you want them to be able to play with it and you not worry about the head's going to come off. You want them to be able to play with it and flop it around and pulling that head and drag it around. Same thing with the arms, because I make my toys to be played with. It looks like that's my head, doesn't it? Okay, I think my sinus medication's kicked in. So anyway, and it's the same thing about when you're sewing on, say, eyes or nose. You can always go down underneath here after you get your stitches done. You know, go back inside the stuffing and hide your stitch down in here. I do recommend, you know, it's not really a knot. It's kind of like a loop knot. Because like I said, I don't really like tie a knot. I just whip it about 3 times really tight. And then I'll go back through and go up inside. For instance, when I sewed the head on this doll, I looped it really tight. Then the last one, I stitched it 3 or 4 times really tight right there. And then I took my needle and just shoved it up inside the head. Like this. You know, just shoved it up inside here. And then gave it a little bit of a snug, and then just cut that. And it sounds like, oh, that's a weird thing to do, but it works really good. It keeps the thread inside, and it makes it so your friends can play with the babies that you make for them, or your dogs, or you know, can play with your loveys. So that's my it's not expertise. That's how what I have learned. And hiding your stitches when you're working with stuffies and ammies. Like I said, I'm calling them ammies because that big word, I can never pronounce it right. I went online and I Googled how to pronounce it. It's a Japanese word, I believe. I can't remember now. And it really does just mean stuffed animal. And I did exactly how they said to pronounce it, and I couldn't do it. I tell you, I am horrible when it comes to foreign languages. I do good to speak English. I mean... So anyway, and I hope that answered the question that I got about how to hide your stitches and weave in your ends. The key to making your stuffed babies look pretty and stay put is to stitch in those stitches when you're whip stitching pieces together, and when you're hiding your weaving in your ends or hiding your knots, to go in the stitches, not the holes in between. That's the key. So we talked about that. We talked about everything that's new this week. Does anyone have any questions? I do have a lot of things coming up. I have a breast cancer awareness item that I'm working on that's being tested, and I've just got so much stuff lined up, and I think you know, we're going to have a lot of fun. Now, I do want to talk to you all about something serious. Not sad. but as you all know, I have a YouTube channel, and I'm having a lot of fun, and I learn something new every day. Every time I post a new video, every time I edit a new video, every time I film a new video or edit pictures or whatever, I'm learning something new every day, and I really am having a good time with it. Unfortunately, the older versions of the older videos, I say older, I've only been doing this about 8 months, so as far as the YouTube channel. But what's been happening is I've been getting someone going through and using some really foul language on my videos. And I go in and delete them, of course. And I was trying to figure out, there was one person who, they're not cussing me out, they're just saying some bad words. And I tell you what, when it comes to, I mean, I know sometimes we use, you know, off language or whatever, but just to troll around and use this completely offensive word, it rhymes with duck, and it doesn't make any sense because they're not using it in a sentence. They're just putting it out there. And so I'm going to leave my comments open on my Google. But if you all ever, when you're on Google or on YouTube channel, I mean, because YouTube's owned by Google. If you're ever on my videos and you ever see anything offensive, I almost always get everything, but I think because this person put a whole bunch, and it's kind of an anonymous person that I was trying to figure out who it was, and I just kind of got on a rabbit trail. And anyway, and I was just going to ask him to please stop, but I'm not going to. I'm just going to delete it. But if you ever see anything like that, because you know me, those of you who have followed me for a little while, you know I love to have fun. I want our videos to be fun. I want them to be informative, but I also want to have fun and laugh. And I understand not everyone's going to like my style of videoing, or maybe a pattern that I've designed or something. And I understand that. I mean, it would be a pretty boring world if we all thought exactly the same, wouldn't it? I mean, really. I mean, that's what's making the election so much fun, because we all have different thoughts and ideas, right? So, I mean, that's what makes the world go round, really, you know. My favorite color isn't the same color as yours, and my favorite, you know, style of man isn't the same as yours, and, you know, my style of crochet isn't going to be the same as yours, and that's what makes the world go round, all our diversity and difference. Yes, and it is rude, Petra, you're right. And so, but anyway, all I ask of you all, as when you're on my videos, comment a whole bunch. The more comments I get, the higher up I get. And but anyway, go ahead and comment a whole bunch. Say how much you love them. I'm having a little trouble with I don't know if it's because it's on my iPad, because I was saying earlier, if I do the live video on my phone, I don't have the issues of the video stopping and starting. But when I do it on my iPad, I do. But I like using the iPad because it's bigger and I can see better. And yeah, I'm getting older, and I hate to wear my glasses all the time, but you know, when I'm doing a video, I'd really like not to have to. So, but anyway, back to the YouTube video stuff. That all I ask is that you, hi Dorothy, it's glad to see you. South Africa, that's amazing. That's cool, I love that. So anyway, I know I say so anyway all the time. That's another one of my weirdness. Anyway, I hope that you will go to my YouTube channel, and you'll like a lot of my videos and comments. And I do like constructive criticism, because I do know that when I first started, the videos that I did then are nothing like the videos that I do now. And I do have plans maybe at the end of January to go through and redo some of those older ones. But at this point right now, we're not doing that. And that seems to be where I'm getting most of the negativity. And so I just try to say, I understand, we're working on that, or thank you, I'm learning a lot, you know, things like that, because I am learning a lot, and that is the truth. And I really love doing it, and I have a lot of fun with it. And when someone sends me a message or email and says, do you think you can do this video? I really try to fit it in and do it, because I want you all to have fun with my patterns too. Good morning, Tina. So anyway, did everybody clink in with your coffee or your tea? Clink, clink, clink. Like I said, I got my big cup. But anyway, the last thing I just want to say about that is, if you ever see anything like that, just send me a message, or because I'm not always, you know, on the computer, and I don't always catch it right away. And it's okay for you to say, if someone writes something using that kind of language, like I said earlier, it's okay for you to say, oops, we don't speak that way, or let's keep it happy, no negativity, you know, things like that, because that really is my goal. I want my Facebook page, my Google page, my YouTube, my groups, everything that Etsy, everything that I do, I want it to be positive and happy. There's too much negativity out there. We need to stay positive and happy. So here, let me put my hat back on, because it's my silly pumpkin hat. And if you want to make one, the video's out there. I did the video. This is a very special request from someone. I love this hat. Well, I gotta click out. I got some other things I've got to get done today, and I had so much fun. And I thank you all for coming and watching my video. And remember, with the live videos, if you didn't get in on the beginning, you can always, after a few minutes, Facebook pops it onto my business page. And then also, I always make a YouTube video also for those who aren't on Facebook. So thank you all. Yes, no negativity. We want fun. That's right. That needs to be our goal. Well, anyway, I'm going to let you go. I want you to have a wonderful Tuesday. And as my granddaughter says, stay crafty, my friends.